want it. Now, some of you are going to say I speak very fast. I know that already. But you can just go to my website, drjoe.com, and it says ask a question. Send me your comments through the website. I'd like to know what you think, and is there something we can do to make the podcast or these presentations better? Because that's my goal. My goal is to get you the information so that it's easily used. John and I were just talking before we started. John's my producer. And we were talking about, if we make it easy on the patient, they're more likely to be compliant. So if we can deliver this information more effectively, hopefully you're going to be more compliant and make it easier to incorporate into your life, which is what we want to do. We know this information. We want to share it with you. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe here. All the cameras are up and running now. The way this works is I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Whatever questions you have on health, anything, send it through the platform that you're on. John, my producer, will then ask the questions to me at the 24-minute mark. I won't know who you are, so don't worry. Don't be embarrassed or anything. I'll answer the questions. We'll do another 24 minutes, and I'll answer the questions again. And if there's anything, if you want me to change something in the future, you like the style that we're doing, you want something different, any topics you want covered, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com. It says ask a question, and hopefully we can incorporate your suggestions into future podcasts. So we're ready to go whenever you are, John. There you are. There we go. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. This is going to be a powerful show today. We're going to talk about nutrient depletion that comes with certain medications. Now, most people take medication. I forget the stats on it now, but if you're over 65, chances are you're taking 3 to 5 medications or more. And this is called polypharmacy. And polypharmacy is when you're taking a bunch of different medications. There's a problem with polypharmacy because we may know that, statin drugs interacts with a with a blood pressure drug, let's say. But what happens when you add 3 or 4 or 5 different drugs in there? And how do they interact? And they interact differently with your age, your weight, your sex, your male, female, whatever it is. We don't know that. We don't have those stats. So when you start taking medication, especially polypharmacy, we don't know how far-reaching those side effects are going to be. But one thing we do know is that certain medications actually drain the body of certain nutrients. And so I'm not saying don't take the drug or take the drug. That's up to you and your doctor. That's not me. What I'm going to say, if you're taking this drug, I'm going to strongly advise you supplement to mitigate the damage that the drugs are doing to you. I think that's a very reasonable approach. My feeling is, if I was Grand Poobah of the universe, that when you were given a medication, it would say, this medication is probably going to deplete these nutrients. Make sure you take these supplements. Doesn't happen. So I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to solve your problems for you. Now, as we go through this, I'm also going to recommend that if you're taking a medication, perhaps alternative therapies that you can do to try to get the body well enough so that you don't need the medication. There's a novel idea in healthcare, getting to the cause of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. And that's what we're going to talk about as well. So we're going to cover a lot in this show. In fact, I may drag it out into 2 shows. I'm not sure yet because there's so much to cover. And I can't solve the medication issue. I can solve the damage that some of the medications do. That's going to be my goal. So we'll start out simple. We'll build up a little bit from there. Let's talk about non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So if you don't know what those are, Celebrex, ibuprofen, Motrin, Aleve, naproxen, we said Aleve already. These are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory over-the-counter medications that you take to help reduce pain. And it's fine. If you need them, take them. If I have an injury, I'm happy to take something like that. But I always want to say, the short term is help cover up the pain. Long term is what do I do so I don't need this anymore? So if you're taking a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, these over-the-counters, one of the things that happens is they will deplete things like vitamin C and folate. Folate is a B vitamin. Now, you can go out to the big box store and buy a big bottle of vitamin C and a big bottle of folic acid and say, well, Dr. Joe said I'm taking my non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. I got to replace these nutrients, and you do it. Well, let's talk about the glitch there. Vitamin C, the best kind of vitamin C is liposomal, actually. Liposomal means the vitamin C molecule is wrapped around this little molecule of fat, and it gets absorbed easily into the body. So liposomal vitamin C is going to be the best. I don't recommend ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid is 1/8 of the vitamin C molecule. It's effective, but not as effective as a liposomal vitamin C would be. So if you're going to take some ascorbic acid, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do, it's okay. But a better choice is full vitamin C. So you might see things like rose hips or cherries. They'll use that as the whole vitamin C. But you see ascorbic acid, I start to say, maybe there's a better choice. Now, folate, this is a biggie. Because folate, we say, well, we're going to use folic acid. And most of the crops in the United States now are sprayed with folic acid because they're enriched. And you need that to help prevent birth defects and help all this other neurological issues. But about 60% of us have a genetic flaw, and it's at the MTHFR gene. And what that means is we can't convert folic acid into folate. We can't methylate. Methylation, simply put, is converting into a usable form, or sometimes methylation is adding a methyl group, a chemical to it, to get it flushed out of the system. But it makes it more functional as a real simple way to do it. Now, if we're doing folic acid and we're part of the 60% that can't convert folic acid into folate, two things happen. Number one, we're probably not getting enough folate. And number two, we can build up toxic levels of folic acid. So don't take folic acid, take folate. It's a big difference. Now, on our website, drjoe.com, we have a methylated B complex. So all the B vitamins that need to be are methylated. They're in a form that's usable. So, example, we use folate, not folic acid. I'm going to talk about B12 in just a second. There's a special form of B12 that's absorbable. But if you're part of the 60% that have this MTHFR gene flaw, which, by the way, I do. I had myself tested, and I have it. I have to take folate. If I take folic acid, it's a problem. Now, folic acid is sprayed on a lot of crops, so I'm getting folic acid in my body anyway, but I'm making sure I get enough folate. And I don't take folic acid in concentrated form, so I don't have to worry about toxicity. But there are some things we just can't avoid. I mean, it's pollution in the air. I'm sitting in traffic. I'm going to inhale waste products. I'm going to inhale lead and gas fumes. So there are things we can't avoid, but there are so many things we can do to avoid these things. Now, I'm taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatories because I have pain, I'm assuming, let's say. What if we took a different approach? What if we looked at it and said, why do I have the pain? And what can I do to reduce the pain? Now, ibuprofen, a lot of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, are anti-inflammatory. So two things we can do if I'm in pain. Number one is stop causing so much inflammation. Diet. If you're eating alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, these are all inflammatory foods. So I'm causing the inflammation, then I'm taking an ibuprofen to reduce the inflammation. What if I just didn't cause the inflammation? Eat a better diet. Pretty simple. Number two, what else is causing the pain? The number one treatment, the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. Would you want to know it? Most effective and least expensive. Not the most effective and most expensive. What's the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain? Chiropractic care. So why wouldn't you get chiropractic care if you have pain? It makes no sense to me. Most effective, least expensive, low risk, high reward. Where's the problem there? So in my mind, I cannot wrap around, I cannot fathom, I can't understand why, if you have back pain, or even knee pain, or hip pain, or shoulder pain, any pain, why are you going to a pain management clinic? Now, I'm board certified in pain management, but that's exactly it. It's pain management. We manage the pain. What if we can actually treat the pain and get to the cause of the pain? That's why I recommend you come see us when you have pain. If we can't fix it, let's assume we can't fix it. Usually we can. We can always send you out and you can get more aggressive, more high risk, high side effect treatment. But let's try the most effective, least expensive treatment first. Then hopefully we won't need to take the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and we won't be depleting our body of vitamin C and folate. Did you follow that thought process? It's pretty simple, actually. Fix the cause, don't treat the symptoms. Now, at my age, people ask me all the time, they say, well, how many medications you on? 0. If I go to the doctor, I go to doctors too. I like to get my checkups. I got a full body scan the other day from a company, and they tested head to toe, brain scan, and everything. And it was very enlightening. I knew about some things I had, some old injuries, some fractures, and things like that showed up. It did show up some things that I said, oh, maybe I should focus that a little harder. And I didn't know it was there because it was asymptomatic. It didn't have any symptoms with it. So I love these full body scans. I think they're great. It's definitely the future of healthcare. So I wanted to find out what was going on with me. And at my age, whenever I go to a doctor, they say, please list all your medications. And I put 0. And they look at me and they said, no, any medications, high blood pressure, diabetes. So, no, I'm not taking anything. And there's always this look of bewilderment in their eyes. It's like, really? At your age, nothing? So the medications are necessary sometimes, but I always try to get to the cause of the problem. I'd like for you to consider making that part of your lifetime protocol. And you can live a lot longer probably too. Now, opioids, the big ones, hydrocodone, oxycodone, morphine. If the pain is bad, you need this stuff, folks. I get it. I remember breaking my arm in high school playing football, and they said it. Now, here I was 17 years old, maybe 18. And they set it, and the bones had ridden up over each other. And they pulled it apart and set it back in place. And I almost passed out from the pain. Now, they should have given me some medication, and they didn't. But if you're taking opiates, you're going to deplete vitamin C, again, folate, again, and potassium. So now we got to be careful to make sure we're getting the right nutrients. Now, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are 2 powders, and everyone, by the way, should be taking these. This is like the minimum supplements everybody should be taking. And you're going to solve a lot of problems, the vitamin C, the folate, the potassium, because Essential Source is a multivitamin, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin. It's a powder. Then I add a scoop of Dr. Joe's Super Greens, which is chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, barley grass, and alfalfa grass, to alkalize the system. Because many times if we're in pain, our body becomes very acidic. And the acid irritates the pain causes the body, you eat bad foods, you're not drinking water properly, so you become more acidic, you get caught in a cycle. So the minimum supplements, if you're not doing anything else for yourself, you're not willing to do any other suggestions I've ever given you in the past 41 years, is that Super Greens and Essential Source. That would be the minimum supplements I recommend. So I would add then B-complex to that, and I would add, if you're taking the medications, glutathione. Because medications have a tendency to cause liver damage. And glutathione helps clean out the liver. Super Greens has chlorella, which also helps clean out the liver. So if we're going to do the medications, at least mitigate the damage. Replace the nutrients that they're being depleted, and give your body the healing nutrients that it can do to start to repair the damage. Makes sense, right? This really isn't hard to figure out. I was joking the other day with a patient. I said, I have the easiest job in the world. I said, because I always figure out what do I got to do to get the body healthy. Normally function nervous system, normally function digestive system, good nutrition. Now we can do tests and we can do lab work and we can customize it. But that's the base. The base is digestive system, nervous system, and diet. And when we fix that, a lot of the other problems go away. Patients always say, well, I had blood work done. I said, great. Let's get you on the protocols. Let's do 60 days, and then let's reevaluate and see how you're doing. Before we jump to conclusions, we're probably going to knock out a lot of the things that are there now, and you won't need to be taking a lot more supplements or hopefully medications. So it really is an easy job when you understand how it works. I told a story the other day about my father. My father was deaf. He had a horrible accident before I was born. He fell 3 stories, fractured his skull, and went deaf. And he could fix stereos. Couldn't hear him, but he knew the principles of how a stereo worked. And so he'd do this, and they'd say, Joey, listen to this. How's it sound? Not so good. Do it again. How's it sound? Sounds good. Great. And I was always amazed. He couldn't hear it, but as I got older, I realized he understood the principles of how electricity works, how a stereo, how a radio works. That's how I look at the body. I model myself after my father. We discover things every day. In science and health, we found a thing called the glymphatic system. Glymphatic system pumps toxic waste products out of the brain. It's always been there. We just discovered it recently. We found a taste bud, an umami taste bud, several decades ago that tasted savory flavors. I mean, how many dissections, how many surgeries, how many patients have been examined over the centuries? We found a new taste bud. We found a new system to pump toxins out of the brain. So we're always finding new things. But as long as you understand the principles of how the body works, you can apply those principles to every aspect of health. And that's what we do in our office. So again, if you're taking medications, that's fine. Let's find out why you have the pain. And then let's mitigate the damage with supplements. And then let's get a good diet to bring down the inflammation. So if you have a health issue, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, by the way, if you're just tuning in. We're talking about essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion. Certain drugs will deplete the body of nutrients. So if you have a health issue and you'd like to come see me, I would love to be your doctor. Go to my website, drjoe.com, and book an appointment, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area, or we can do telehealth if we need to. Normally, the first visit is $940. I've reduced that cost to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. Why do I do that? It's $950, reduced to $299, because I want to find out what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. Is it chiropractic? Is it nutrition? Is it orthopedist, neurologist, neurosurgeon? Maybe you need a gynecologist. I don't know. Let's find out what the best course of treatment is going to be so that I can help you navigate this incredibly complex world of healthcare. And I don't want you getting ripped off. Number one reason people file bankruptcy is medical bills. It's a shame that you have a health issue and then you lose everything you ever owned. And many times you don't solve the health issue either. So let's try to reverse that whole trend in healthcare, sick care, and try to get to the cause of your problems. I like that. I've been doing this for 41 years. We're getting good at it. So drjoe.com. If you have any health questions, you can always send it through my website as well, drjoe.com. If you're having a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. You need to come see us. And don't fall for these scammers. They just passed a new law that if you get a call from a scammer, it's a felony. And I don't want you being involved with felons. No one will call you to tell you to go see a doctor or a lawyer. If they do, I promise you it's a felon. I guarantee it. They can't. No one can call. It's illegal to call you. But you can call us, and we'll help you. If we don't have an office near you, we'll help try to find a doctor, hopefully near you, that is honest. I chuckle when I say that because I know how many dishonest doctors there are. All right, so we're talking today about essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion. So if you're taking certain drugs, it depletes the body of nutrients. Number one reason we see patients is pain. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain. Number two reason we see patients is digestive problems. Heartburn, acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation. So let's talk about the medical approach to that versus the holistic approach to that. So if you're taking proton pump inhibitors, Pepcid, Tagamet, Zantac, they're going to deplete your body of vitamin D, B1, folate, B12, calcium, and zinc. It's a lot. Because what happens is you need stomach acid to absorb calcium, B12, iron, and magnesium. And if you don't have enough stomach acid, you can't absorb calcium, iron, magnesium. And so now we're going to go into deficiencies. And we're also going to affect a lot of the other B vitamins too, the zinc and the vitamin D. So let's replace that with a vitamin D. Had a patient come in this week, and she said, Dr. Joe, I don't know if I'm vitamin D deficient. And my answer to her, without even doing her blood work, was, yeah, you are. She said, well, how do you know? I said, well, I looked at your diet. You're not eating enough. It's essentially impossible to get enough vitamin D from food. She's an older woman. She's not getting out in the sun. And it's almost impossible to get enough vitamin D from sun and diet. It just is. And especially as you get older. And she was overweight, which makes it even harder. I said, so I promise you're deficient in vitamin D. She said, so I take a vitamin D. I said, where do you get it from? She said, some big box store. And I said, does it have vitamin K2 with it? And she says, I don't know what that is. I don't think you should be able to sell vitamin D3 without K2. Because one of the many things vitamin D does, it helps absorb calcium from your food and bring it into your blood. K2 takes it from your blood and brings it into your bones. If you take D3 without K2, may not happen to everybody, but you have a tendency to build up calcium in your arteries. Because the food, again, calcium from your food is going into your blood system. It's not being taken out of the blood system. So you should always take vitamin D3 with K2. I take 10,000 international units a day. That's 10 drops of Dr. Joe's D3 with K2. It's on the website, drjoe.com. I take 10 drops a day. There are many studies out there that deal with autistic patients, especially, where they're taking 200,000 international units a day. So at 10,000 international units, you're not even close, a fraction of being close to worrying about taking too much. So take 10 drops a day. We talked about folate. You want to do folate, not folic acid. B12. There's two major types of B12. There's other forms too, but the major types are methylcobalamin and cyanocobalamin. Methylcobalamin is methylated. It's the type you need. Cyanocobalamin has cyanide attached to the B12 molecule. So I don't recommend you take cyanocobalamin. I recommend you take methylcobalamin only. That's it. It's very simple. So D3 with K2, methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. So where do you get that? Well, Dr. Joe's methylated B complex has all the B vitamins in it in the form you need. Supergreen's an essential source, of course, the minimum supplements everybody needs. And if you're taking proton pump inhibitors, that means you have acid reflux probably. So what proton pump inhibitors does, the proton pump creates the acid. It shuts down the pumps that produce the acid in your stomach. So that'll reduce acid reflux. Works great. However, 2 caveats. Number 1, you have to look at the dosage. It usually says take for just a few weeks and then give it a break. Some people have been taking it for decades. Not a good idea. Okay? Number 2 is you're only treating a symptom. You need acid to break down proteins, to digest proteins into amino acids, and amino acids become neurotransmitters. And so you need that. So if you're reducing your stomach acid, you're not digesting your food properly. And that's going to affect your brain. It's going to affect amino acids, muscles, everything. So that's an issue. We got to be careful with that. Taking it for a short period of time. Now, what can we do instead? Apple cider vinegar. In most cases, when you have acid reflux, it's not that you have too much stomach acid, you have too little stomach acid. Isn't that a twist? And because you have too little stomach acid, food, essentially, this is real simply put, food sits in your stomach and it rots. And when it rots, it gives off gases and it causes the acid reflux. So we need to increase our stomach acid in most cases with acid reflux. Counterintuitive, I know. So a simple way to do that is apple cider vinegar. Any vinegar actually has acetic acid. And vinegar can help stimulate your stomach acid. So I don't like vinegar. I don't like tart flavors. I like sweet flavors. In fact, it makes my mouth water thinking about it. So have a salad with some vinegar on it. Very simple. My German grandmother, she made a lot of soups. We were very poor. And she always put vinegar in the soups. And she did split pea or lentil or barley. And she always put vinegar in there. And I didn't understand why, and now I do, that she was stimulating stomach acid production to break down the proteins and make it more efficient and reduce a lot of the gas, too. Now, she didn't know why she did it. She didn't understand the chemistry behind it. She just knew that you always add vinegar to your bean soups. So that increased my stomach acid to break down the proteins more efficiently. So vinegars work. We have a great supplement. It's called Glucose Guard. It helps stabilize blood sugar, which is a little different. But that's really helpful to stabilize blood sugar so you don't spike and crash. And then I take digestive enzymes whenever I eat a cooked meal. I was on a cruise last week, and I took a digestive enzyme with every meal. Perfect digestion, no bloating, no gas, phenomenal. Because I didn't know what was in the food. When I'm home, I can regulate my food intake. Of course, there I didn't. So 3 meals a day, I was eating, somebody else's food. But I take a digestive enzyme even when I'm home, whenever I eat a cooked meal. I think you should too. So all the supplements, Super Green Essential Source, Vitamin D, B Complex, digestive enzymes, and a bunch of others are on the website, drjoe.com. You can order them. I recommend order them, put them on automatic reorder. It's cheaper. And if you ever want to stop it, just stop it. And it stops instantly. It's real simple. It's not a big process. But I don't think supplements are a luxury. I think they're a necessity. I don't believe you can obtain and maintain optimum health in our society, even if you're living on a field somewhere, out in the woods somewhere, growing your own food, because our body has become more complex as time has gone on. And there's radiation. There's cell phone radiation that eats away, that causes free radicals. You need more antioxidants. There's car exhaust. There's just stress in life. And so our life is different than it was, and we're living longer. So why not continue that? We have all this amazing medical science that we have behind us, painkillers and opioids and proton pump inhibitors. Why don't we take that and use that to our advantage and then fix the cost so maybe we don't need these drugs? Drugs are, I always look at drugs, try to be short term. If you need it, take it, but short term. Now, there are some things like insulin for type 1 diabetes. Yeah, that's probably a lifetime drug. But there's so many people that are on lifetime drugs. High blood pressure. I'll tell you a story. My patient, Connie, she came to me 2 years ago, and she sat in the second adjusting room we have, and she said, Dr. Joe, my kidney functions at 28%. I'm going to die. I will do anything you say because I'm going to die. And I don't have enough time to be on a kidney transplant list. So I got her on a supplement protocol, and if you want the protocol, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. I'll send it to you. And just yesterday, 2 days ago, whatever, she came to me and she said, I have news. I said, what? She goes, I am no longer in kidney failure. I've been like 52, 54% now. She goes, I've been there long enough. My doctor said, you're no longer in kidney failure. And I said, was the doctor surprised? She goes, she didn't say a word. I said, how do you not be surprised? She said, everyone who has this is going to need a kidney transplant. Everybody, 100%. And here's somebody who reversed it. She's not 100% better, but she's not in kidney failure anymore. So if you have any health questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to send you the protocols I recommend for my patients. If you have supplement questions, I'll do that. If you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. So questions, appointments, supplements, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media. We post twice a day. We even post in Spanish. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. And the podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Please subscribe to that as well. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back. All right. How's your new computer, John? You digging it? Good. John got a new computer yesterday. It's very exciting. So, you have questions for me?
For effective blood sugar control, is fiber during a meal as effective as fiber before a meal?
Yes. Yeah, as long as it's, I mean, the food's going to sit in your stomach, depending on what it is, for up to 4 to 6 hours. If you eat a steak, you're looking at 4 to 6 hours. If you eat cantaloupe, it's going to be out of the stomach in about 20 minutes. But generally, the food's going to stay in the stomach for quite a while, an hour or two at least. So, yeah, any time is fine. But if you're eating foods that are high in fiber, you don't need to take any additional fiber because the food is the fiber. What else?
Do you swim in public swimming pools? If so, any tips for us?
Yes, and yes. Where I live, my subdivision has a saltwater pool, and I love it. I can't remember the last time I swam in a chlorine pool. Like I said, I was on a cruise last week, and they had hot tubs and everything, which I just think is a soup of human disgust. But saltwater pools are fine. If you do swim it in a chlorinated pool, you want to shower immediately when you get out and wash your hair. Now, the soap I recommend is Castile soap. They have it in bar form and liquid form. That's a pure, very pure form of soap. But wash that chlorine off as quickly as you can because chlorine is a highly toxic chemical, and it gets into your colon, kills off the bacteria. It acts like an antibiotic, basically. So, yeah, if you're going to use a chlorinated pool, please shower immediately. But salt water is the best if you have it. What else?
Does Gavacin Advantage help treat LPR?
Okay, I don't know what that is. Send me an email for that one, okay? drjoe.com. Send me that email, and I'll go ahead and answer it for you then because I'm not sure John's pronouncing it right. Next question.
My brother-in-law just had his appendix removed. In retrospect, what are some risk factors associated with that?
Well, your appendix, we used to think, was what we called a vestigial organ. Vestigial means you don't need it anymore, like a tail, for example. We don't have them anymore. But now we find out that the appendix actually stored good bacteria to help fight cancer and to help recolonate the colon if there's a problem. So if the appendix bursts, you have to get it removed. I mean, because you're leaking fecal matter into your abdomen, and that can kill you. So with him, he just lost a big, major immune organ. And I wish medicine, I wish a lot of things, but I wish medicine would tell you that. And now he has to be really careful with his immunity. If you send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, I'll send you a whole show I did on tips to build up your immunity. He's going to have to do that the rest of his life if his goal is to obtain and maintain good health. If it's not his goal, that's fine. That's up to him. But, yeah, it's not something you just arbitrarily remove. It's kind of like a gallbladder. People have their gallbladder removed, and now you don't have stores of bile, so you're not going to digest fat properly, and you skyrocket your risk of heart disease. So there's a supplement. It's called Colacol. If you send me an email, I'll send you the link to it. It's not one of my supplements. It's another company, but I'm happy to share it with you. And Colacol replaces the bile you don't have. It should be the law that if you have your gallbladder removed, they hand you a supplement on the way out of the hospital and said, take this every day, every time you eat a fatty meal for the rest of your life. And I've had people with abdominal pain and brain fog, and I mean, just couldn't function in society. I get them on a simple supplement like it's fat, it's bile. It breaks down to bile, breaks down to fat, and it's like a miracle. So there are quick, easy, cheap fixes to a lot of stuff. So send me an email. I'll send you a protocol on immunity. What else?
Since walnuts are so good, should I worry about any other nuts?
The only nuts I don't like are peanuts because they're not really nuts, they're legumes. But peanuts are high in arginine, which can stimulate herpes viruses, and not just genital and oral herpes. There's a lot of other herpes viruses. And they contain, except for the Valencia, contain a mycotoxin, which is a fungus. So all the nuts are fine. Raw is better than cooked, but cooked is better than steak. But no peanuts ever under any circumstances.
That is all.
That's it for, you guys got a lot of good questions today. All right, let me take another sip of my magic elixir here. It's actually cinnamon tea. So, my nose is itching, and I think we're ready to do part 2. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you just joined us, welcome. If you stayed with us, I appreciate that. We're talking today about essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion. What that means is certain drugs are going to deplete your body of nutrients. What do we got to do to replace that or mitigate the damage? And once again, I believe that it should be the law that if you're given a drug, they should give you a handout and say, okay, if you're taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, you need to take a vitamin C and a folate. If you're taking opioids, you want to do potassium, vitamin C, and folate. That's what we talked about earlier. If you're taking proton pump inhibitors because you have acid reflux, vitamin D, B1, folate, B12, calcium, zinc. Why they don't just hand you that, I don't know. But that's my job. And I guess it's better because then you go to my website and buy supplements. So I guess it's good for me too. I'm glad they don't do it. So with the proton pump inhibitors, other ones like omeprazole, Prevacid, Nexium, again, B1, folate, B12, calcium, zinc. It's going to deplete your body because you're not absorbing the nutrients because you need stomach acid, like, for example, B12. You have something called intrinsic factor, and intrinsic factor helps you absorb B12. Well, intrinsic factor is activated by stomach acid. Well, if you don't have enough stomach acid because you're reducing the stomach acid, what's going to happen then is you're not going to be able to absorb, you're not going to activate the intrinsic factor to absorb B12. So taking supplements is great, but here's the thought. What if we can fix the cause of the acid reflux so you don't need the medication? I said earlier, the number one reason we see patients is pain. The number two reason we see patients is digestive problems. And the most common problem with digestion, excuse me, is your stomach sits below your diaphragm. The stomach pushes up into the diaphragm. If the stomach pushes up into the diaphragm, you have acid reflux. So here comes logic. If the stomach is pushed up into the diaphragm, causing acid reflux, what if I pull the stomach back down below the diaphragm? Would that solve the problem? And the answer is usually yes. So it's a technique we use. All my doctors are trained in it. And the reason they're trained in it is because I have this problem. And I burp, and my breath stinks, and I feel real bloated, and I know my stomach is pushed up against my diaphragm. So I'll grab one of my doctors, and they'll pull my stomach away from the diaphragm, and almost instantly, I feel a relief. Now, mine acts up maybe once every 3 to 6 months. So, because I'm older and my diaphragm is weaker. But initially, it's going to take several treatments to get it to stay there. So if you have acid reflux, come see us. I have patients every week come in and say, Dr. Joe, I'm here just for my acid reflux. Okay, so I explain it to them. And while you're there, I check everything else out. And if we find something else, I'll say, hey, you need to fix this too. If I don't, I don't. So if you're taking the hydrogen inhibitors, the proton pump inhibitors, we need to fix the stomach. Yes, we need to mitigate the damage from the drugs, but we need to pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when we do, it's amazing. You want to name your kids after us. I mean, it's just phenomenal when you fix the stomach. Because your stomach breaks proteins into amino acids. And there's 20 amino acids in the human diet. 11 of them you can make yourself. 9 of them you have to get from an outside source. They're called essential amino acids. Now, I will tell you this. In 41 years of practice and thousands, probably tens of thousands of patients seen, plus people, radio, television, books and everything like that, lectures, I have never, in my 41 years of practice, ever saw somebody with a protein deficiency. Ever. Now, the condition called kwashiorkor, now you may see it in places where there's no food, where there's famine. Yeah, you'll see something like that. But in this country, you're not going to get that. So we have enough protein. So this big protein craze, by the way, it's going away. Everyone, eat more protein, eat more protein. It's not so much what you eat, it's how much you digest. So along this line, a proton pump inhibitor is going to talk about antacids in just a second too, pretty much the same thing. We want to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. We want to mitigate the damage, increase the stomach acid, because in most cases, it's not that you have too much stomach acid, you have too little stomach acid, and the food is basically rotting in your gut. So if we pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, increase your stomach acid, get you on digestive enzymes, even if you don't have this, you should be taking digestive enzymes, amazing things happen. Now you're getting the stomach and the digestive system to work like it did when you were young. Tuning it up. You tune up your car, you tune up your air conditioner. Why don't you tune up your own body? And that's the way I look at the body as a machine. And why is the machine not working? Let's fix it. Let's give it the fuel that it needs. Let's fix the wiring, and let's make it work longer. Cars that are maintained last a long time. Bodies that are maintained last a long time. And for some reason, we're willing to tune up our car. We're not willing to tune up our own body, which makes absolutely no sense to me. In my mind, in my world, in my little sphere up here, I'm thinking, whatever it is, let's fix it. And we were very poor. My father was disabled. My mother had to stay home and take care of me and my sister because my father was deaf. And so we didn't have OSHA back then. We didn't have funding and government help. And no, we lived in this rundown apartment in New Jersey, and we survived. And so my father fixed things. My mother fixed things. I fixed things. You know, we did joke about, you know, how I saw a meme one time on social media. It talked about this old couple. They've been married for 60 or 70 years, whatever it was. What's the secret? Well, the secret is we fix things. In our generation, we didn't have disposable anything. We had to fix everything, including relationships. So why don't we fix the body? You know, Linda Ronstadt had a great line from one of her songs. You loved me before, please love me again. If it worked at one time, what can we do to make it work again? And that goes for romance, and it goes for the body as well. So let's fix the body. And by pulling the stomach away from the diaphragm, increasing your stomach acid, I take a digestive enzyme every time I eat a cooked meal. If I have a salad, I don't take it. But if I eat a cooked meal, always a digestive enzyme. And if it's a big meal, I'll take 2 digestive enzymes. And man, let me tell you, it's amazing. My digestive system is amazing. And because I see patients every day, and I see their records at digestion, 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 digestion. And there's even a meme out now that hot girls have constipation or something like that. Talking about, you know, good-looking girls that are really skinny have digestive problems. Well, everybody has digestive problems. So let's go ahead and fix that. So antacids, many times they have aluminum in them. So that's a problem. And antacids, again, what neutralizes stomach acid. I don't want to neutralize my stomach acid. I need stomach acid to digest protein. Why do I have too much? I have too little stomach acid, and we reduce it even further, and that becomes the problem. So, again, vitamin D, folate, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc. You're going to deplete these nutrients. So what can we do? Now, by the way, I didn't say this earlier. If you want a copy of today's show notes, and you probably should because I have the drugs listed and then I have the nutrients that are depleted, and I tell you what supplements to take. Send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. I will gladly send you my show notes absolutely free. I do this because I want you to have this information. And I talk fast, and I know you're waiting. Well, what about my drug? What about birth control pills? What about diabetes? I'm going to get there. But maybe you had to leave. Maybe you had to, you know, step away from the radio or the television or wherever you're watching this. And so I'm going to send you the show notes absolutely free. drjoe.com. And if you have any questions at all, always send it through my website, drjoe.com. But the best thing you can do is make an appointment to come see us. Let's check your nervous system. Let's check your digestive system. Let's check your diet. Let's dig around and find out why the body's malfunctioning and give it a tune-up. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. And it's most effective, least expensive treatment in most cases. So, drjoe.com. I'd love to be your doctor. I really would. If you follow me on social media, we post twice a day. We give you health tips twice a day, absolutely free. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. All the other ones are Dr. Joe Esposito. If you like what you're hearing and you want to see my pretty face presenting it to you, that's YouTube. We put all our lectures on YouTube. Get to see my pretty face. And on my website, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, it says Dr. Joe Show, which is a live show that I do where I take callers. And then we have the podcast. And so you can listen to anyone you want. We have thousands. I think we have 4,000 or 5,000 hours of content on the website. Absolutely free. I want to prove to you that I want to be your doctor. And I work every day to do that. So drjoe.com, book an appointment. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that to $299. Let's find out what's wrong and then determine what's going to be the best course of treatment for you. It's very simple. drjoe.com. All right, so antacids, again, you look at the vitamin D, you're looking at folate, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc. I usually don't recommend calcium supplements because most people take calcium carbonate. And calcium carbonate is a cheap form of calcium, and it can block up your receptor sites and prevent you from properly absorbing calcium as well. So I don't recommend calcium. If you're going to take a calcium supplement, most people don't need it unless you have low stomach acid or a bad diet. Calcium lactate, calcium citrate, not calcium carbonate. So remember, calcium carbonate is basically chalk you used to draw on a board in school. Remember the chalk? It just doesn't work. So don't take calcium carbonate. It's better to take nothing. But vitamin D, again, we want to do D3. In case you're just tuning in, vitamin D3 should always contain vitamin K2 with it. I take 10 drops of Dr. Joe's D3 with K2 every day. You should too, regardless. Folate, not folic acid. I'm going to say that again. Folate, not folic acid. Many times you'll see folate in parentheses as folic acid. Folic acid, it can't be absorbed by most people. It can become toxic in high levels. Folate, not folic acid. And then zinc, I do zinc. I do sunflowers. I do pumpkin seeds, every day. And I do Brazil nuts. So pumpkin seeds, great source of zinc. And you're not going to do too much. Taking a zinc supplement might be too much. Now, if I have a cold or something, I may take a little extra zinc supplement because it's going to bind to the virus and prevent it from replicating. But generally speaking, pumpkin seeds, take two handfuls a day, especially for men. Men have a lot of issues with erectile issues. They have prostate issues. Zinc is necessary for the prostate. So pumpkin seeds are a great snack for men. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion. If you're taking drugs, you will deplete these certain nutrients. You need to replace those nutrients. But along with that, we're talking about what to do so maybe you can come off the drugs. I'm not telling you to stop taking drugs. I'm telling you to do the things that I'm recommending so hopefully you don't need the drugs. Unique approach in healthcare. I hope the future is that. Hope my legacy, decades and centuries from now, they say, Dr. Joe was talking about this before it became standard. And how barbaric were we to not treat the cause but only treat the symptoms? How crazy is that? I mean, you talk about things like bloodletting. Oh, my God, that was barbaric. And chasing spirits out of somebody who's sick. Oh, that's crazy. That's barbaric. Thank God we don't do that anymore. I want this modern healthcare system to be looked upon years from now just like that. It's archaic. It didn't make any sense. It was expensive. It wasn't effective. We spend the most amount of money by far per person in the United States on healthcare, and we're one of the sickest, if not the sickest, industrialized nation in the world. We're spending more money and getting worse results. Doesn't make sense, does it? Now, it makes sense if I'm running a hospital or if I'm selling medications. Hey, guess what? This is America, man. This is great. This is capitalism. But you don't have to be part of that machine if you don't want to. If you want to, it's up to you. But you don't have to be in most cases. So, fixing the gut, hopefully we avoid the antacids, the anti-ulcerative medications, and we fix the problem. Many times, ulcer, H. pylori. H. pylori is bacteria, and it was interesting. It took a while to figure out that was causing ulcers. That was relatively recent medicine. And now they realize that H. pylori can only live in a low-acid environment. So if we increase the stomach acid, we break down the proteins more efficiently, we digest the food faster, and has a tendency to kill off the H. pylori. Multiple benefits of raising your stomach acid. And something as cheap as apple cider vinegar can help do that. 2 tablespoons a day. Now, I don't like it. I add it to my salad. I try to take it every day, but I'll add it to salad. I'll add it to soups. I'll make salad dressings with it. But I just don't like straight vinegar. I just don't like it. I have to do it sometimes, but I don't like it. So, as we move on, we're talking about essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion. What happens when you take these drugs and it depletes the nutrients? I want to talk about antidepressants because the new generation, what are they, Gen Zs? Gen Zers? Gen Xs? I don't know what they are. But the younger generation, the teens and the 20s, antidepressants are like candy. Doctors hand it out like crazy. Oh, you're not feeling good? Take an antidepressant. Hey, you're a little bum? Take an antidepressant. Hey, invite your boyfriend? Take an antidepressant. And they're handing it out like crazy, and kids take it as a badge of honor. I'm on antidepressants. I notice because patients come in. Dr. Joe, I'm on antidepressants. I take them every day. So we're not getting to the cause of the depression. We're treating the symptoms. So many times the cause of the depression, just like we were talking about with stomach acid, is the digestive system. Because your stomach and your brain talk to each other. Your digestive system, your brain talk to each other via something called the vagus nerves. And let's take serotonin, for example. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. 90 to 95% of it is produced in your gut. And it travels from your gut up into your brain via the vagus nerve or blood vessels. And serotonin helps you focus. Serotonin calms you down. Serotonin makes you happy. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you what? Sleep. But we've learned, too, that melatonin now protects something called the mitochondria. It protects the part of the cell that generates electricity. Wow. We learned that during COVID. And so what if we just, instead of trying to utilize the little bit of serotonin that we have, which a lot of antidepressants are, the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, what if we just made more serotonin instead of utilizing the little bit that we have? And we make more serotonin by fixing the gut, fixing the digestive system. So if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, let's pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. If you're taking antacids or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, that can affect your body's ability to break down proteins into amino acids. Amino acid tryptophan combines with vitamin B6, another B vitamin, creates 5-HTP. 5-HTP becomes serotonin. Serotonin becomes melatonin. And so if you're taking these medications, you're not digesting your food properly. So you're not breaking the proteins down, so you're not getting the serotonin, and you're not getting enough B6, which is made by good bacteria in your colon. So suddenly we solve two problems. We solve the acid reflux in many cases, not always. And now we start looking at depression. Depression as a function. Okay, we just talked about, I did a show a while ago that depression and anxiety and brain fog were a psychological issue. They're not. They're a physical issue, which is causing a psychological issue in many cases, not all. In many cases. So what if we fix the physical and we help the psychological? What if we fix the physical and help the depression? And in most cases, the results are phenomenal. Autism. Crazy how much autism there is now. When I went to school, I don't remember the numbers, 1 in 1,000 maybe were autistic. Now it's 1 in 33. What changed in just a few decades? Why are all these kids autistic? Nobody knows. Well, I find that when autistic children come to see us, we work on their gut, we get them on a methylated B complex, Dr. Joe's methylated B complex, and we almost always see improvement. I don't know any case where we didn't see some improvement. Excuse me. Now, I had a case come in. I've told the story before, but we always get new listeners, so if you've heard it before, just bear with me. And mother and father brought their son in, teenager, nonverbal, autism to the level he can't even speak. And he was a wild child. And he was a big kid, so trying to control him in the office. He's touching everything. He's touching the computer. He's picking up the garbage can. Like, we had to rein him in, this kid, basically. So I remember his nervous system was just what we call dysregulated. He was just wired. And I sat next to him, and I started stroking his back. And I stopped. He grabs my hand and puts it back on his back. He loved that because it was calming down his nervous system. So we fixed his gut. We pulled his stomach away from the diaphragm, got him on supplements, Dr. Joe Super Green, Essential Source, B Complex, probiotics, digestive enzymes, vitamin D. And I saw the mother 2 weeks later, and she said, "Remember my son?" I said, "Yeah, I won't say his name." I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Remember he couldn't speak, right?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I was singing on top of spaghetti, which I guess is on top of Old Smoky." She goes, "And I stopped singing, and he kept singing. He knew all the words, and he sang the rest of the song to me." Tears running down her eyes. She said, "I was told he'd never speak." And this wasn't a lot. This may be 3 or 4 treatments. Now, I'm not saying I have a cure for autism, but when you fix the machine, everything works better. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. I would love to be your doctor. So we're talking about antidepressants. You got to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, increase the stomach acid, get them on digestive enzymes, methylated B complex. And this is for everybody. I get depressed. When my father passed away, I didn't think I'd ever come out of it. When my mother passed away years later, devastating. I'm still devastated by it. And it was interesting because you have relationships end and you think, oh my gosh, this is devastating. I'll never get over this person. And you do. But when you have a death of a loved one, you never get over that. You get used to it. My cousin Paula told me, Joey, she said, you don't go over it. You don't get over it. You get used to it. Big difference. And so when I was going through those tough times, I made sure I took care of myself. I made sure I got my extra methylated B complex. I made sure I got my stomach adjusted. I started meditating. I started doing exercise to increase the opioid levels in my brain, the opioid receptor sites getting activated. So there's a lot of things we can do physically to get the body working more effectively. It's not hard to figure out once you know how it works. I don't know if any of you have ever driven a stick shift. My first van was a 3-speed on the column, if you're old enough to remember that. 3 on a tree, I think we called it. And I remember going up a hill, Hoboken Road, right near a church the church I used to go to when I was a little kid, and it was a big hill. And I came up with my clutch for the first time ever. And I thought, I'm going to roll backwards, I'm going to hit cars, I'm going to kill people. It was a big hill going down to a big highway. And I was nervous as heck. And boy, I gave it the gas, I gave it the clutch, and I tried not to pop the clutch, and I finally got there. And now, years later, I became a truck driver. And I'm driving trucks in New York City, 10-speed trucks, having lunch, this is before cell phones, eating lunch, driving a 10-speed, not even thinking about it. Why? Because you learned. You learned how to make the truck work. That's how I feel about the body. When I started this 41 years ago, I didn't understand how the body works, and I learn new things every single day. That's exciting. A lot of people don't learn new things every day. So it's very exciting to see people get better. And that's why I try so hard to impart this knowledge to you guys, because I know it works. Because I'm a patient too. I'm no different than you are. So the minimum supplements would be Super Greens and Essential Source, B Complex, and vitamin D. I do recommend you take a digestive enzyme every time you eat a cooked meal. All those supplements and a lot more, men's hormone support, nitric oxide to open up the blood vessels and increase circulation. We'll talk about that. I guess I'll do part 2 of this next week. We talk about blood pressure medications. Nitric oxide, it just should be the law. If you have high blood pressure, take nitric oxide. It opens up the blood vessels and lowers the blood pressure. But it helps on so many other things: sexual function, brain function, circulation to the arms, the legs, healing, wound healing. Does so many different things when you open up the blood supply. So all those supplements and a bunch more: men's hormone support, omega-3 fatty acids, women's hormone support. We have immune supplements there. We have one, a daily purify. I do that 4 times a year to clean out my liver. We've got so many different supplements. So if you have any questions or not sure what to do, send it to me through my website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer your questions for you. Make an appointment to come see us, drjoe.com. Let's do a tune-up and a checkup on you specifically. I can talk all day. I can give you recommendations. You can send me emails. I'll give you recommendations. But nothing is going to be better than coming in and letting us check the nervous system, digestive system, and diet. Nothing's better than that. But if you want to start slow, I'm fine with that too. So all the supplements, the information's on the website. If you follow us on social media, we post twice a day. Even in Spanish, we post too. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you're going to get free advice every day, absolutely free. If you like seeing my pretty face, YouTube. We have my pretty face on YouTube. We have thousands of hours of content on YouTube as well. A lot of good information. Doctors, insurance companies, hospitals from all over the world use my information. I've had many colleges over the years say, can I use your show as part of my class? Absolutely. Happy to let you use it. It's my gift to you. And if you want to copy today's show notes, because I have all the drugs listed, I have a lot more than this. I'll cover it next week. I have all the drugs listed, the depletion, and what to do about fixing it. Just send me an email through the website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to, just says ask a question. Just say essential nutrients for drug-induced depletion or something along those lines. Happy to send you the show notes. My gift to you. After 41 years of doing this, it's nice to give away all this stuff. It's kind of cool. I like watching people get well. And it's not just for adults, children. If a child has a healthy digestive system and spine, they usually grow up healthy. If not, there's going to be problems. So bring your children in. The youngest I ever adjusted was about 10 minutes old. And the oldest I ever adjusted was 110. So, all right, folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm out of time here. drjoe.com. Follow me on social media. I want to be your doctor. I'll talk to you soon. All right. You have questions?
What do you think about Epsom salt baths? Should I shower afterwards?
No. You want to leave the Epsom salts on. It's a magnesium to be absorbed into the body.
Should I shower directly after swimming in a lake?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. God knows what's in lakes. So, yeah, I would strongly advise you shower right after a lake, too. What else?
Which countries have the healthiest diets?
There are places called the Blue Zones, and there's sections in countries. Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan, a place in Russia. These are the Blue Zones. And the Blue Zones are people that have the most amount of centenarians, people that live over 100 years. So not the Mediterranean diet, of course, is the best diet in the world. So the Mediterranean world, following the true Mediterranean diet, would be the best. But all the countries that have the most centenarians, the people that live over 100 years old, have one thing in common. Well, they have several things in common. Number one, they socialize. They socialize on a daily basis. Number two, they stay active. They work throughout their lives, in most cases. And number three, the biggest one, is they eat a plant-based diet. It's just that simple, folks. I mean, what more do you need? Who's going to live the longest with the least amount of health problems? Oh, the people eat a plant-based diet. Let's do that. Now, they're not vegan. Some are, like Loma Linda is in California is. But some people, they'll eat a little bit of fish, but usually small fish, like sardines. They don't eat big fish, which have a lot of mercury and lead and things in them. So they'll eat small amounts of fish, a little bit of alcohol, maybe a tiny bit of dairy, and maybe a little bit of meat. But that's it. Most of their diet, plant-based. So if you don't know what to eat, send me an email. Say, what can I eat? I'll send you the whole protocol, the whole Mediterranean protocol that I recommend, and I'll give it to you at no charge. So, what else?
What do you think about trying a new dish of guac and rice?
I'm okay with that. I like guac. I like rice. Now, if you're going to eat rice, I always have a caveat. Cook the rice, put it in the refrigerator overnight, eat it the next day. You create a resistant starch. 40 to 50% of the calories reduced, and you're not going to absorb those sugars. It's going to be 50% of it is going to become a prebiotic to feed the good bacteria in your colon. Prebiotics are finally catching on now, so I was cool before it was cool. Guac and rice, why not? I was in Mexico last week, and I had the best guac. There's a great place in Cozumel, and got a scooter. We went around the island on a scooter, and there's this one little restaurant. I took my mother there when she was alive, and it was just wonderful. I remember sitting on the beach with my mom and eating guacamole. So it was a great walk down memory lane. And the restaurant's still there. I don't know how to stay in business. Like, there was maybe 3 customers there in the 2 hours I was there. But best guacamole in the world. And it might be because it was on the beach, too, with my mom. So, what else?
Are bananas and apples equally nutritious?
Different reasons, yeah. But they're both very high in sugar, too. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. But don't eat a lot of it because it is, you can have an apple or 2 or a banana every day. But it is high in sugar. Their nutritional value is different. So I'd say equal, yes, but different. So, what else?
That is all.
Thanks, kids. Follow me on social media. That's your homework.